Jingi usiku. TB yaweza kuangamiza jamii yako. Usikubali. Matibabu ni bila malipo katika hospitali zote za serikali.
Well, people first. Stop the stigma and discrimination. Strengthening prevention. That is the theme as the world marks World Drug Day today. Good evening. Welcome to Prime Edition at the beating heart of Kenya, Nairobi, coming to you live from Broadcasting House. My name is Mboya. Remember, the president has assented to the Finance Bill 2023, and that bill introducing some new tax measures that are expected to be effected beginning next month. Karo Njenga, what should we expect on the smart board?
Well, I'll be highlighting some of the key changes that are in the Finance Act 2023. Remember, these changes will come into effective in 3 phases. We have July 1st, September 1st, and January 2024. So I'll be looking today at the Railway Development Levy. I'll give you the implications of this levy and also what it means for local manufacturing here in the country.
Many thanks, Wairim. Of course, we'll be doing a deep dive into that bill that has just been assented to by the president. But here is the deal. First things first. Top in this podcast is now law. New tax measures contained in the Finance Bill 2023 to be effected beginning next month. Odd walls, last laugh. Kenya Kwanza senators save Siaya Deputy Governor William Oduol from the jaws of impeachment. Tidying up the Boda hustle. President Ruto commits to transforming the Boda transport subsector. Welcome once again to Prime Edition. Our socials tonight at KBC Channel 1, my Twitter handle at Mboya24, and the person in charge of our sign language docket, none other than Lancer Odingo. Top story tonight: the cost of credit is expected to increase further after policymakers of the Central Bank of Kenya increasing the base lending rate by 100 basis points to 10.50%, pushing it to an 83-month high. The Monetary Policy Committee, that's chaired by the Central Bank Governor Dr. Kamau Thuge, says that the decision was taken to check sustained inflationary pressures, increased risks to inflation outlook, and also elevated global risks. That report is the one that opens our coverage tonight.
The rate of inflation has remained fluctuated between 7.9% and 9.6% over the last 12 months. The rate of inflation marginally rose from 7.9% in April to 8.0% in May 2023, driven by high fuel, food and non-food, non-fuel prices. This was mainly driven by higher sugar prices that rose 22.1% in the month of May. Based on this and sustained inflationary pressures as well as increased risks to the inflationary outlook, the elevated global risks and their potential impact on the domestic economy, the Monetary Policy Committee of Central Bank, that is chaired by Governor Dr. Kamau Thunge, have decided that there was scope for further tightening of the monetary policy to anchor inflation expectations. The committee therefore decided to raise the central bank rate from 9.50% to 10.50%. This means the cost of credit will go up as lenders adjust their interest rates to reflect the new central bank rate. At 10.50%, the benchmark lending rate is at an 83-month high and was last at that level in July 2016. The central bank has also decided that policymakers be meeting on a monthly basis instead of the bi-monthly. Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition.
Well, as the cost of credit goes up, President William Ruto has assented to the Finance Bill 2023, introducing some new tax measures that are to be effected beginning next month. The Finance Act 2023 has standardized the value-added tax at 16%, introduced a housing tax at 1.5% to be paid by both their employee as well as the employer. The removal of tax on LPG. Now, the Finance Act 2023, which authorizes the government to spend 3.67 trillion shillings to finance the budget, introduces two new tax bands for those earning more than 500,000 shillings. President Ruto also assented to the Appropriation Bill 2023 and the Supplementary Appropriations Number 2 Bill of 2023, resulting in the reduction of overall expenditure by 25.5 billion shillings. That's compared to the revised total of national government expenditure approved in the Supplementary Appropriations Number 1 Act of 2023. Wari Monjenga is on the other side. Just to break for us down what all that means, a lot of times we focus on the dark corners. And tonight, Caro just wants to shine some spotlight on the good side of this act. Is that correct, Wairimo?
Well, that's correct, Tom. And today I'll be looking at the Railway Development Levy. Remember, this levy has been reviewed downwards from 2% to 1.5%. This RDL levy is, according to the Finance Act 2023, amends Section 8 of the Miscellaneous Fees and Levies Act of 2016, and by reducing the Railway Development Levy from 2% to 1.5%. What does this mean now? This means that the levy shall be at the rate of 1.5% of the customs value of the goods and shall be paid by the importer of raw materials and intermediate products imported by manufacturers at the time of entering the goods into the country. Now, this is what happens now for the local manufacturing. It's supposed to cushion local manufacturers. And it's also supposed to ensure that those importers who import goods for home use, such as inputs for the construction sites, or rather for the construction of houses under the Affordable Housing Scheme, and also raw materials and intermediate products imported by manufacturers. Those are the ones that will receive this revised downward of the levy. Tom.
Many thanks, Wairimo, there for breaking that down for us. Of course, we do expect that she will be, I think this will be a segmented part just to help us understand and look at both sides of what it means after the president assenting to that finance bill. Now, the Senate has thrown out the impeachment motion against Siaya Deputy Governor William Oduor. 27 senators voted against the report of the special committee that had substantiated the allegations of the county assembly. Only 16 voted for impeachment of the deputy governor. Here's that report.
The impeachment motion against Siaya Deputy Governor William Oduol split the Senate along the political divide, with Azimio senators appearing to push for the removal of the Deputy Governor from office, while the ruling Kenya Kwanza side poking holes into the report by the special committee.
When you say you're removing somebody from office because he said in public that a certain CS was forced to resign, Mr. Speaker, is that a threshold enough to remove somebody from office?
Mr. Speaker, there is also a law called the Public Officer Ethics Act. It is actually a crime under that act, Mr. Speaker, to give misleading information in public. So you cannot just tell us, because you people in your coalition, you are used to giving false promises to Kenyans, you tell us that you can just retract. That is not the law, Mr. Speaker.
The report by Senator William Kisang-led committee recommended for the impeachment of the deputy governor on grounds that he admitted to accusations of interfering with the procurement process during the renovation of his office, as well as misleading the public by giving false information. Senators from the majority side dismissed the committee's report, saying the Senate cannot be used to settle county political scores.
The Senate should not be used as a conveyor belt of listening to rumors and hot air allegations.
Ni jambo la kusikitisha ikiwa sisi kama seneta tutakubaliana ya kwamba ni haki mtu kununua kiti kama kile, hali bei yake haifiki ile bei inotakana, na alafu wamechukua pesa zingine zimeenda hivyo hivyo bila zimeenda kiholela.
Afisa mhasibu mkuu katika ukaguzi la county ni gavana mwenyewe. Masuala ya kiti ambayo inasemekana kwamba Bwana Oduol aninunua, hiyo ni swala linafaa kuulizwa gavana wa Siaya, lakini sio naibu wake.
Upon being given opportunity to respond to the committee's report, the deputy governor's lawyers questioned the integrity of the report, claiming there was doublespeak in the observations.
On one side of the mouth, the committee says that the governor did not intimidate anyone, did not bully anyone, did not abuse anyone. Then on the other side it says he interfered with procurement. How does that sit before this particular house?
The four accusations were subjected to the vote, whereby 27 senators voted against the impeachment, while 16 senators voted for the impeachment. Gishoki Washira, Prime Edition.
From Oduol laughing. Last to an item here on the border. President William Ruto affirming tonight that he is committed to the transformation of the border sector. The president saying that government, through a collaborative approach between the Council of Governors, legislators, as well as the National Youth Service, rolling out road safety training to border riders in order to avert road accidents attributed to the sector. Here's that report.
While presiding over the launch of the Boda Care program that focuses on capacity building and empowerment for the border riders, President William Ruto stressed the importance of road safety training for the riders to avert road carnage attributed to the sector. Ruto regretted that of the 20,858 people involved in road accidents, 4,515 lost their lives through border accidents.
Baliane, what NYS is going to do, what the ministry is going to do, what NTSA is going to do, so that tuweze kuhakikisha ya kwamba watu wanaoendesha pikipiki ya bodaboda, wanaofanya biashara ya bodaboda wako na training na wako na leseni.
While urging the riders to enroll in circles for economic empowerment, Ruto said his government is keen on reducing the cost of training and licensing boda riders from 8,000 shillings to 2,500.
Tutawapatia muda, tutaconsult na waziri na NTSA, by which time vile tu matatu tuleka zote kwa sako. Boda zote lazima ziwe kwa sako, na zaidi ya hiyo muwe na identification.
The Ministries of Transport and Health will give 116,000 NTSA-trained boda riders 1 year fully paid National Health Insurance Fund NHIF medical cover.
Motorcycle riders who are working for companies and delivering goods on behalf of companies, and where they go, na wale wanabeba wananchi, na kila mmoja wao apewe ile area yake ya cooperate na njia yenye atafanya kazi.
These bodabodas will be given knowledge and guided on how to live positively on matters nutrition and matters safety to do with health. The other thing in this cover, Your Excellency, that is very important is mental health and behavioral change.
The launch comes at a time the Kenya Kwanza administration is championing for climate change adaptive strategies such as introduction of electric motorbikes.
The charging points in this country, let them be owned by the bodabodas so that we can also boost our economic income.
Mheshimiwa Rais, kama tunatumia mafuta ya shilingi 700 kuendesha pikipiki ndio biashara yangu iendelee. Na electric bike, Mheshimiwa Rais, ni shilingi 200 kucharge betri run the whole day. Hiyo ndio ile project yako ulisema kazi ni kazi, pesa mfukoni.
Meanwhile, President Ruto says his government will work with partners such as St. John's Ambulance to extend the emergency medical care to preventive. He said the timely diagnosis of problems before complications develop will guarantee Kenyans quick recovery. He was speaking at State House during St. John's Ambulance 93rd Annual Inspection Parade. Michael Modiga for Prime Edition.
Well, that story bringing us to our first break right here on Prime Edition. Do stay with us.
Baba Dylan, nini ilifanyika?
Bao za scaffolding ziliporomoka tukijenga na tumemwambia foreman kwamba hii nyumba yajengwa haraka.
Mama Steve, mabwana zetu hawezi kufa tukiona. Kesho tupatane hapo kwa site ya huyo contractor.
Unapokiuka sheria na kanuni za ujenzi, unahatarisha usalama na ustawi wa jamii.
Tulieni.
Nyinyi mnataka kutumaliza. Kwanza naenda kuripoti. Kwa sababu hii site ilikuwa imefungwa na MCA na pande mnaendelea.
Jenga haki, wajibika. Hakikisha unahusisha wataalamu na kuzingatia ujenzi bora na ulio na haki kulingana na sheria zilizowekwa. Wajibika, epuka hasara, okoa maisha. Jenga haki na NCA.
Cheza Loto Moto 1,100.
Kwa majina naitwa Alex Odur, natoka Kamulu. Na show leo imekuwa poa. Nilikuja na confidence nikijua naenda kuwin. Na nimewin 100,000 ndio hizi hapa. Wale wanacheza Loto Moto waendelee, ni kitu ya ukweli. Loto Moto, endelea kucheza kila siku.
Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Shinda milioni 2 kila siku kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number, weka 757070. Account number, andika neno Loto. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2,000. Lipa, kisha subiri draw.
Huchagui familia yako, ni zawadi ya Mungu kwako kama ulivyozawadi kwao. Iwapo unakohoa, unahisi uchungu kwenye kifua, uchovu kila wakati, joto jingi mwilini, unakosa hamu ya kula au kupoteza uzito haraka bila kukusudia na kutokwa na jasho jingi usiku, waweza kuwa waugua TB. Nenda hospitalini ukapimwe. Ikibainika ya kwamba ni TB, utapewa dawa, na ukimeza vizuri ulivyoshauriwa na daktari, utapona. TB yaweza kuangamiza jamii yako. Usikubali. Matibabu ni bila malipo katika hospitali zote za serikali.
My name is Amelia Tichi, the current face of Vitiligo Kenya, and you're watching Grapevine.
We had different people striking the runway in search of Little Mr. and Miss Vitiligo, Teen Mr. and Miss Vitiligo, and the face of Vitiligo Kenya.
Kenyan recording artist and producer Kagwe Mungai over the weekend dropped his new sophomore album dubbed Rada in an event that was well attended by celebrities, family, and friends.
10 rings on my hand, no matrimony. Making all these millions is just stand for me.
From there I just continued mpaka pale tuko sahi. Nasema mstari kwangu zinatoka tu vifine na ndo na maana na roga kwa Grapevine.
Sio njoki. You vile tulipata na gatoi uyo shori.
Welcome back to Prime Edition, our socials at KBC Channel 1 and my Twitter handle at Mboya24. Moving on, the Judiciary has launched a convicted sexual offenders electronic register in fulfillment of the Sexual Offences Act of 2006. Chief Justice Martha Koome notes that the register will hold a crucial database of all convicted offenders and will also ensure easy access to information on convicted sex offenders for relevant authorities.
Kenya is now the second country in Africa to adopt the Convicted Sexual Offenders Electronic Register after South Africa. Chief Justice Martha Koome noted that the automated register will serve as a tool for deterrence, prevention and rehabilitation of sexual offenders.
We are in effect sending a clear message that our society will not tolerate those who prey upon the vulnerable. We will hold them accountable, and their actions shall not go unnoticed or unpunished, but will follow them for the rest of their lives.
At the same time, the Chief Justice also launched a sexual and gender-based violence court strategy, child justice strategy, and established SGBV courts in Kibera and Makadara law courts, all in a bid to eliminate all the systemic and informal barriers of the access to justice. During the launch at Kibera Law Courts in Nairobi, stakeholders recognized that access to justice remains limited, especially to those in most need of judicial protection.
Children and victims of sexual and gender-based violence are amongst the most vulnerable members of our society, and the policies and interventions we launch here today will go a long way to improving access to justice for these vulnerable groups.
By focusing on the rights, the well-being and rehabilitation of child offenders, we can foster a safer, more equitable society for future generations.
Declaring the establishment of SGBV courts in Kibera and Makadara, Chief Justice Martha Koome also directed the presiding judges and heads of stations in Meru, Nakuru, Kiambu, Machakos, Kisii, Kitale and Kakamega law courts to designate special SGBV registries and put in place progressive case management strategies to expedite the cases. Stakeholders have noted with a concern a high rise of violation against men, women and children since the COVID-19 pandemic. They are, however, hopeful that the three-pillar strategy launched here today will go a long way in empowering survivors of sexual, gender-based violence and at the same time ensure they access justice. Jacqueline Masharia for Prime Edition.
Now, the third phase of the post-mortem for bodies recovered from the Shakahola is expected to end Tuesday this week after a post-mortem is done on the remaining 9 bodies. Today, the team led by government pathologist Johansen Oduor conducted an autopsy on 22 bodies, among them 12 children.
Investigators and pathologists have so far conducted 329 autopsies since the process of establishing the cause of death for victims of controversial preacher Paul Mackenzie started more than 1 month ago. Chief Government Pathologist Johansen Oduor said on Monday that his team was remaining with 9 bodies after conducting 87 autopsies since phase 3 of the exercise started last week.
So far we've performed a total of 87 postmortem in this phase. We are remaining with 9 postmortems, which we are going to complete tomorrow. After finishing, we are going to the field to see if we can get other bodies for exhumation. Then we continue with the process again.
He told journalists at the Malindi Sub-County Hospital mortuary that a phase 3 of the post-mortem will be concluded on Tuesday to pave way of a possible phase 4 of exhumation in Shakahola.
7 of them were adults, while 12 were children. and 2, we are unable to establish the age. As per gender, we found that females made a total of 22, while males were 8, and 2 of them we were unable to establish the gender due to the decomposition.
Dr. Odwor explained that the number of bodies requiring autopsies had increased by 2 after one of the victims died in prison, while 2 bodies that were exhumed from the Shakahola graves had been wrapped in one sheet and counted as one. For Prime Edition, I'm Zainab Said.
A young couple and one other person have been charged at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport Law Court for dealing with live wildlife species, namely safari ants. The trio is accused of, among other things, charges of extorting the harvester ants without a permit in China and also planning to export to France.
Monday at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport Law Court, and Martin Nyota, his wife Roswell Rimu carrying a 4-month-old child, and Eunice Mudhoni were in the dock.
Bidhaa za wanyamapori kwa jina Mesocephalates au siafu, dhamana yake ikiwa ni shilingi 1,300 bila leseni.
The couple who were arrested at their home in Gilgil, Nakuru County pleaded not guilty to 5 charges of dealing with live wildlife species. The state prosecutor urged Senior Principal Magistrate Njeri Thuku to prioritize hearing the case since the life of the ants that had been produced in court was at stake. Wairimu and the third accused, Eunice Mudhoni, who faces trial for aiding illegal export of the ants, were released on a 50,000 cash bail.
The accused persons are to report on the first day of each month, and if it falls on a holiday or a weekend, then the next working day to JKIA police station until this case is heard and determined.
And 7 suspects were arraigned at the same court for trafficking narcotic drugs with a market value above 120 million Kenya shillings. Through their lawyers, they opposed the prosecution application to have them detained, further citing no compelling reasons.
Before the accused persons are charged, it is tried that completion of investigations is there. Investigations are already closed and charges preferred.
However, their pleas were thwarted by the court due to the gigantic amount of the consignment, giving the prosecutor a green light to detain them for another 24 hours. Meanwhile, it was a painful end of the journey in search of greener pastures abroad for a young woman who was heading to Dubai.
Count number 2, handling a package or a suitcase containing narcotic drug.
James Yokao Mutinda was arrested at JKIA Terminal 1C on Friday, 23rd June 2023, trafficking cannabis valued at 99,120 shillings. According to the defense, the person who secured Jane the employment gave her the suitcase.
Trafficking of humans, gold, wildlife trophies.
Senior Principal Magistrate Njeri Thuku has set the pre-bail report for 3rd July 2023 due to the weight of the matter. Finally, at Milimani Local, 2 middle-aged women found themselves on the wrong side of the law for pretending to help unsuspecting citizens secure jobs in Canada. The duo, who are accused of obtaining over 12 million shillings, will remain in police custody until 30th June 2023, when a pre-bail report will be determined. Ruth Wamboi for Prime Edition.
Kuna hizi kampuni zenye zinajua mali niko, kitu nimekula breko, kitu ninasema sahi, kitu nitakula next week on Thursday, pesa niko nazo kwa account, siblings wangu, the list is endless. Na mnajuaje hii information? Kwani mnani stock?
Lakini nikuulize, kabla ya kupress allow, ulijiuliza hii information inatumiwa kwa njia gani? Kabla ya kuallow, hakikisha umesoma terms and conditions.
Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na ofisi ya Data Protection Commissioner.
Biggest odds in the world every day on selected matches. Make a decision. Mozart Bet.
the show that keeps you updated on everything you need to know about technology.
Digital resilience is about organizations being able to continue to operate despite negative impacts that they've experienced.
The subject digital transformation, we keep talking about it, but very many people fail to understand that.
Twitter's removal of blue ticks is forcing accounts to find new ways to prove authenticity as concerns over copycats mount. At the same time, Elon Musk has given blue ticks to a few celebrities who didn't ask for one, such as writer Stephen King and Larry Madowo, for free.
Take on Tech every Monday at 10:30 p.m. on KBC Channel 1. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. He was one of Kenya's pioneer technocrats serving in the Ministry of Labour. This week, on the cabinet, we focus on Titus Mbathi. He served in President Daniel Moi's administration.
Having acquired his Masters of Arts in Economics from the New York State University, Titus Mbathi returned to Kenya and immediately plunged into the public service. His entry point being at the Secretariat of the East African Common Service Organization, which would later become the East Africa Community, as an Undersecretary in the Treasury in 1962 and part of 1963. In 1963, he was promoted to the position of Director of Personnel Management. In 1964, he rose to become a permanent secretary serving in the Ministries of Economic Planning and Development and that of Labor. He served as a PS under Nyiva Mwendwa, who was instrumental in developing the National Security Fund and the National Youth Service. He resigned from the civil service to try his luck in politics. In 1980, his chance to vie for political leadership came when the Kitui Central Parliamentary seat was declared vacant after the nullification of Daniel Mutinda's election. After a hotly contested battle, Mbathi won the seat. President Moi appointed Mbathi Minister for Labour, citing his wealth of experience in matters labour. He would serve as an MP and cabinet minister for 3 years. Mbathi's tenure in the cabinet, however, was short-lived. After the infamous August 1982 coup attempt by a section of Kenya Air Force soldiers, the president called for a snap election in 1983 as part of efforts to reorganize his government, tighten security and exercise more control. Mbathi fell victim to the snap election and therefore unable to complete a 5-year term as either minister, as he lost his parliamentary seat. After leaving politics and government, Mbathi concentrated in business until the introduction of multi-party politics and the subsequent formation of the Forum for the Restoration of Democracy, FORD, in 1991. He decided to jump back in politics. He became the Ford Kitui District Branch Chairman. When Ford split into Ford Kenya and Matiba's Ford Asili in 1992, Mbathi opted to work with Matiba. In 2002, he joined the National Rainbow Coalition led by Mwai Kibaki and became the committee chairman. When NAC took over the government after defeating KANU in 2002 general election, President Kibaki appointed him chairman of KenGen. Jackie Wambiru, The Cabinet.
The head of public service, Felix Koskei, has urged the panel tasked with the selection of the next director of public prosecutions to observe the rule of law and be guided by the principles of the Constitution. The 7-member panel, gazetted by the president last week, will now start the recruitment exercise after they were sworn in.
The process of recruiting a new director of public prosecution has started in earnest.
I, Mary Wanjera Kimonye,
having been appointed as a member of the selection panel, do swear
4 of the 7-member select panel gazetted took oath of office at the Public Service headquarters in Nairobi, with the remaining 3 who were unavailable set to take oath this week.
The honor and dignity of this office.
The head of Public Service, Felix Kosgei, was represented by the Chief Administrative Secretary in the Office of the President, Arthur Osia, pledged support for the panel, who include COTU Secretary General Francis Atuoli and Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission CEO Twalib Mbarak.
Good luck, professionalism, ethical and value loaded thinking as you set this process and run into completion. We promise for cooperation from the other side of government.
Constitution and the law obligates you.
Chairman of the Public Service Commission, Ambassador Anthony Mushiri, also rallied the members to ensure the process was fair and accountable and select an individual who will inspire confidence in Kenyans.
Kenyans do expect nothing short of a process that is open, transparent, accountable, lawful, and fair. That will provide a director of public prosecution who has a high degree of integrity, is independent, is accountable to the Kenyan people, will act fairly in the discharge of his or her constitutional and legal mandate, upholds and preserves the public trust.
The Office of the Directorate of Public Prosecution, ODPP, is mandated with undertaking prosecution of criminal matters and determines what charges should be preferred in a criminal case. The office became vacant following the appointment of Nurdin Haji as the Director General of National Intelligence Service, NIS. For Prime Edition, I'm Ben Troy Njue.
Let us now take a look at business news for the day. Now, cyber attacks have almost doubled in the last year, making Kenya one of the top cybercrime hotspots in Africa. According to the Communication Authority of Kenya, cyber attacks in Kenya have skyrocketed to reach a high of 444 million in the last 6 months, up from 350 in the same period last year. The authority is now calling for collaboration in building infrastructure and skills development to counter risks arising from cyber attacks. The growth of the internet in Kenya is creating a new problem. Cybercrime has become more prevalent, targeting businesses and individuals. The Communication Authority of Kenya Director General Ezra Chiloba says with a digitally connected society, attacks are expected to increase going forward, calling for collaboration between stakeholders. In the last 1 year, cyber attacks have skyrocketed to reach a high of 444 million, ranking Kenya among the top 3 most targeted countries in Africa, alongside South Africa and Nigeria.
As I mentioned, there is a high penetration rate in Kenya, 65 million people. So obviously the mobile phone becomes one avenue of perpetrating cyber attacks, and so are computers. We are seeing a lot of social engineering. I'm sure, as DG mentioned, that number,
we need to innovate more to ensure that the infrastructure that we deploy in terms of monitoring and intervening in the cyber security arena is relevant and also is affordable.
Chiloba says the achievement of a safe and secure cyberspace calls for considerable investment in resources and prioritizing collaboration to match the ever-evolving and rapidly expanding online menace.
And in Kenya, what we have done when it comes to collaboration is to work with other partners, both within government and outside government, to ensure that we share insights and putting our resources together to ensure that there is proper monitoring of the cyberspace and necessary action or intervention being taken to ensure that we reduce the risk of cyber threats.
Speaking at the launch of Cybersecurity and 2023 boot camp, Chiloba further noted the need for skilled personnel as business and institutions digitize. Experts are calling for a ramping up of capacity building and mentorship among upcoming professionals as a good strategy to grow a formidable pool of cyber experts in the country.
As a skill part, we try to build up the skills of the professionals that we'll have in the space, and especially those within the academia.
Over 6,000 students have signed up for the boot camp geared at enhancing cybersecurity skills.
Now, organizations with high water usage can now reduce their energy costs for water treatment following the launch of a battery-less solar water treatment machine by Davis and Shatliff. Here is Betty Kiptum with the details.
Hospitality facilities and industries are high water consumers who often opt for recycling. The process often increases running costs due to increased use of electricity and battery-powered solar pumps. Davies and Shatliff says the water treatment system offers an environmentally friendly and cost-effective way to sustainable water treatment process by eliminating the need for additional energy storage equipment by harnessing power from solar PV panels.
All the plants in the markets traditionally have used very high power sources to drive the pumps that pressurize the water through. Now, this innovation basically uses solar energy to drive the RO plant pump to run the process. And so that makes it a lot more efficient because we're not using mains power or generator power, we're using solar power, which is essentially free.
Water scarcity, a growing population and industrialization have been pushing up demand for water treatment. But high cost of electricity remains a challenge for users, hence the need for innovative water treatment solutions.
With challenges in finding available sources of fresh water, increasingly people are turning to sources of water that traditionally they would not have relied on. Using seawater, for example, and converting that into fresh water. We're drilling very deep boreholes, but the water is contaminated with fluoride. So there is a very large market, and it's driven by water scarcity issues in the region.
Betty Kiptum, Prime Edition.
The International Day for Seafarers is marked every year on 25th June and is celebrated to recognize valuable contributions seafarers make across the world to international seaborne trade, the world economy and society. The focus for this year's celebration is on seafarers and the marine environment and how we can contribute to protecting it. 90% of the world's goods are transported by ships at sea, with over 70% as containerized cargo. Seafarers are responsible for the safe and efficient operations of ships and for the safe and smooth delivery of cargo from and to various ports worldwide. As we celebrate this International Day of the Seafarer, join us by being ambassadors of the marine environment. Join us to protect the world's oceans. This message is brought to you by Kenya Maritime Authority. Kenya Maritime Authority, transforming Kenya into a globally competitive nation.
Cheza Loto Moto. 1,110.
Kwa majina naitwa Alex Odur, natoka Kamulu. Na show leo imekuwa poa. Nilikuja na confidence nikijua naenda kuwin. Na nimewin 100,000 ndio hizi hapa. Wale wanacheza Loto Moto waendelee, ni kitu ya ukweli. Loto Moto, endelea kucheza kila siku.
Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Shinda milioni 2 kila siku kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number, weka 757070. Account number, andika neno Loto. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2,000. Lipa, kisha subiri draw.
Iwapo unakohoa, unahisi uchungu kwenye kifua, uchovu kila wakati, joto jingi mwilini, unakosa hamu ya kula au kupoteza uzito haraka bila kukusudia na kutokwa na jasho jingi usiku, waweza kuwa waugua TB.
Na mke mwingine maji anaye huyu. Nenda polisi lakini.
Una kilo kitani. TB yaweza kuangamiza jamii yako. Usikubali. Matibabu ni bila malipo katika hospitali zote za serikali.
Welcome back. You are watching Prime Edition. Now, nearly half of women workforce in the agriculture value chain were laid off during and after the COVID-19 pandemic. The status of women in agri-food systems report by the Food and Agriculture Organization indicates that most women are yet to regain their employment, further threatening the country's food security due to limited and inexperienced labor force.
Kenya's food import bill hit a 5-year high of 183.93 billion shillings during the first 9 months of 2022 as the country grappled with 5 consecutive feed rains and expensive farm imports. The Food and Agriculture Organization now says the high food import bill was partly due to a depleted workforce in the agriculture sector, as 40% of the women in the agriculture value chain lost their jobs due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
The social norms which keep women in a subordinate position to men, and it's fundamentally important to address these discriminatory social norms in order for women to realize their potential within agri-food systems.
The agriculture sector is still reeling from an inexperienced workforce, a situation that the Food and Agriculture Organization says could hurt food production.
Women are really the majority employed in the agri-food systems, from farm to fork, from production to processing to transportation and to consumer. They are the one in the whole value chain we see women employed.
FAO says women have no working capital to restart their jobs in the agriculture sector, as most of them exhausted their savings, with some selling their assets during the pandemic.
We'll have to mobilize ourselves in order to make sure that we have the funding that is needed to close this gap that the report is highlighting. Funding is critical.
Benson Ruba reporting for Prime.
Now, the newly introduced import levy is expected to spur local manufacturing. The government says the 10% tax, which will be subjected to a number of imported items, will help discourage the import of products that can be sourced locally. Industry Principal Secretary Juma Muhwana says part of the levy shall be used to provide funds to boost manufacturing, increase exports, create jobs, save on foreign exchange, and promote investments.
Finance Act that was signed today by President William Ruto has outlined various tax proposals aimed at spurring the local manufacturing sector. The government has outlined various import levies to encourage the Buy Kenya, Build Kenya initiative. To promote the manufacturing sector, the Finance Act has created an export and investment promotion levy on all goods specified in the third schedule of the Miscellaneous Fees and Levies Act 2016 imported in the country for home use. These include furniture, steel, paints, plastics, and paper, among other goods.
The idea today that the President has said is we don't want as Kenya to import something that we can make locally. So we are proud of what middle class is doing in the area of glass. We have put an import levy on materials, on products that we can make here. As we have said, we are not going to allow you to import things that we can make here.
Industry Principal Secretary Juma Muhwana says Kenya has already started receiving a lot of interest from investors from Asia, specifically China and India, who have expressed interest to set up industries in the country. Last week, Kenya concluded the Kenya-European Union Partnership Agreement, giving Kenya a duty-free market to 27 European Union countries. The PS says Kenyan goods will still be eligible to access more than 50 African countries under the Africa Continental Free Trading Area Agreement.
So we have opened up a market. In fact, the challenge I have now is that the EU has opened up a big market for Kenya, but we don't have anything to sell. So if we can't get manufacturing here, the only way we are going to satisfy that big EU market of nearly 500 million people is for us to manufacture here.
To further boost local manufacturing, the government is already working on a proposal to reduce the cost of power for manufacturers to 10 shillings per kilowatt hours.
Well, that's all we had lined up for you. Mboya will be bringing you the sports update today. My name is Wade Mojenga. Have a good night. See you tomorrow for more.
Aviator instant game. Be a daring pilot and earn by how much high you can lift the plane. The higher you fly, the higher your win. The sky is the limit. Mozart Bet.
Are you a holder of unclaimed financial assets? Surrender unclaimed financial assets today and avoid the last-minute rush. Take advantage of penalties and fines waiver ending June 30th, 2023. Report and surrender unclaimed financial assets today. For more information, visit our website www.ufaa.go.ke/holders or contact us through holders@ufaa.go.ke or call us on 020-402-3000. Do not wait for the June 30th, 2023 deadline. Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. Receive, safeguard, reunite.
It is the cup with the golden ticket. Mozart Bet Cup. 2 million shillings. CAF Confederations Cup. Kuwa mshindi. Mozart Bet Cup.
Well, I'm standing in for Daniel Wahome, who has just arrived from the Vasha this evening. Information, Communication and Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo has rewarded the newly crowned Football Kenya Federation Premier League champions Gor Mahia with a cash prize of 3 million shillings. The record Premier League winners recaptured the league title after a comfortable 4-1 win over the Nairobi City Stars in their final match of the 2022-2023 season on Sunday at Kasarani Stadium. CS Owalo also promising to support the team ahead of the upcoming CAF assignments. Here's that report.
A big round of applause for our
ICT and Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo has rewarded FKF Premier League side Gor Mahia following their masterclass performance in the final game of the season against Nairobi City Stars that saw the side reclaim the league title. Owalo handed the team a cash prize of 3 million shillings for the outstanding performance.
As a Gor Mahia fan, I'm a very, very happy man. This feat has been achieved through a collective effort. We cannot attribute this win to any single individual. So to all of us, I think we need to congratulate ourselves.
The CS also revealed that he will boost the team through sponsorship as they shift focus to continental assignment.
And to ensure that we give the playing unit and the technical bench the support that is required. If possible, we will also reach out to certain other stakeholders to see how they can also come in and help you in their individual capacities or corporate capacity.
As a company, we are not just more than committed to supporting the big teams and those in the Kenyan Premier League, but definitely we are drawing up a roadmap to go into local sports, to go into community sports, and so we will be able to identify various smaller other teams that just need facilitation, be it probably just with the playing kit.
Owalo also promised to buy a new bus for the side before the new season commences. Gor Mahia humbled City Stars for 1 to recapture the title which they lost in 2020.
I said it to all of the guys maybe 6 weeks ago that it's for those people within the club that we needed to work hard. It's for those people who do the unseen work that we need to fight and we need to push, because without them we can't achieve anything. So, thank you to everybody who's played a role this season.
Gor Mahia will now represent Kenya in the CAF Champions League. King Orimwangi for Prime Edition Sports.
From that story of the mighty Kogalo on to rally, where rally driver Nikhil Sechania has his eyes set on the upcoming National Rally Championship, KNRC, that's set for Nanyuki after the good WRC Safari Rally Kenya outing. The ace, who is the only paraplegic driver, by the way, in the WRC calendar, managed to finish third in the KNRC category and 20th overall in the just concluded 2023 WRC Rally Kenya in Naivasha.
Navigated by Deep Patel, Sachania's podium finish in this year's edition was an improvement from his last participation in the iconic motorsport event that was watched by 70 million fans from around the world. Sachania says he is proud of this feat after a grueling rally, the toughest in the WRC calendar. He was among the 3 sponsored drivers by KCB alongside teammates Karan Patel and Evans Kavisi, who both developed mechanical problems.
We lost a lot of time. I think maybe we would have been second. And we were lying pretty well up in the WRC category as well. I think we finished 21st overall, if I'm not mistaken.
It was extremely hard. We got stuck in the fresh. But you know what? We did all the stages. Nikhil being in a wheelchair, we did all the stages. He's the only driver in Africa with the hand controls. Fantastic.
The duo, who drove Ford Fiesta and Mitsubishi Evo X respectively, developed mechanical problems with their cars that barred them from finishing the race. Local organizing committee chairman and veteran driver Carl Flash, Tundo is the other driver who put Kenya on the map with his prowess that led him to a podium finish in the WRC2 category.
Well, Borowet Football Club defeated Bartera Football Club with the margin that the mighty Kogalo recaptured the league title with 4-1 to win the Kamasian Ward title in an entertaining match that was played at Kipsegi grounds in Kipigelion, Kericho County. The tournament was used to search for teams that will participate in the Talanta Hela competition next month in Kericho County.
Borowet FC were crowned the champions of Kamasian Ward after defeating Bartera 4-1 at Kipsegi grounds. A total of 18 teams participated in the competition that was used to search for teams that will participate in the Talanta Hela competition next month in Kericho County.
Waziri wa michezo anaitwa Bwana Rob, pia ako hapa ana identify talents, alafu ile team watakuwa wameidentify kupitia kila wadi, wataungana na county msima ya Kericho kwa michezo chini ya waziri huyu wa michezo. Saisi
West constituency became the first ward to produce 2 teams which will battle out with other teams to be identified in other wards in the sub-county to produce the county team.
We are expecting every ward to have a team, and in forming that team, we are also identifying the talents.
The winners were awarded 50,000 shillings, second runners 30,000, while the third and fourth placed teams walked away with 20,000 and 10,000 respectively.
Katika bajeti ya county tumeweza kuweka pesa ya kufanya ama kusupport sports across the county.
For Prime Edition, I'm Sila Unyango.
Manchester City's veteran midfielder Ilkay Gundogan has officially joined Spanish giants FC Barcelona on a free transfer. Gundogan was offered a new deal by City, but will instead join the Spanish champions on a 2-year deal with the option to extend for another year. Elsewhere, Real Madrid midfielder Luka Modric has signed a 12-month contract extension that will keep him at the club until 2024.
Gundogan is now an FC Barcelona player after signing a 2-year contract with an option of another. He scored 6 goals in his final 7 games, including a double in the FA Cup final win over Manchester United.
Oh, what a strike! The
quickest goal ever in an FA Cup final. He's going to swing it in, stand it up towards Gundogan again, and he scored again.
Gundogan's contract with Barcelona has a barred clause of 400 million euros. He joined City from Borussia Dortmund for a reported 20 million pounds in 2016 and was manager Pep Guardiola's first signing for the club. Gundogan went on to make 304 appearances, scoring 60 goals and won 12 major trophies, 5 Premier League titles, 1 Champions League, 2 FA Cups and 4 Carabao Cups. Meanwhile, Real Madrid midfielder Luka Modric has signed a 1-year contract extension that will keep him at the club until 2024. Now 37, the Croatian remains a key player in the Bernabeu after 12 years, winning 23 trophies for the Los Blancos. Tottenham Hotspur winger Romain Mundel is set to join Standard Liège on a free transfer. Born in 2003, the winger has reached an agreement with the French club on a 4-year deal until June 2027. Mundel leaves Tottenham on compensation. And finally, Robbie Keane has been announced as the new manager for Maccabi Tel Aviv on a 2-year deal. The 42-year-old was most recently hired as an assistant to Sam Allardyce at his old club Leeds United towards the end of the season as the duo attempted to save the Ellen Road outfit from relegation. Keane will take the reins of the country's most successful club that in 4 years has lost the league titles to rivals Maccabi Haifa.
And that does it for sports.
The cup with the golden ticket. Mozart Bet Cup, 2 million shillings. CAF Confederations Cup. Kuwa mshindi. Mozart Bet Cup.
Well, that does it for Prime Edition. I want to thank you on behalf of the Prime Edition team for watching this live broadcast. My name is Mboya, and from Nairobi, Kenya, I'm wishing you a pleasant evening. Good night, and God bless you. I'll be back tomorrow. Good night.